We talk a lot about budget battles on this show, whether it's in Wisconsin and Washington or all across the country. But I want you to know that this isn't just about facts and figures. Real numbers have real consequences. Sometimes it's that a teacher gets paid $5,000 less per year, as happened in Wisconsin, and they can't afford to take their kids on vacation anymore. Well, sometimes it's even worse. Some of our current spending cuts have been so extreme, they have cut to the core of what our government is supposed to provide. Remember, the government's core mission is to protect its citizens. Everyone can agree to that, conservatives and liberals alike. For example, government provides for a national defense to protect citizens from threats abroad. Government provides for police to protect people from threats of violence at home. It provides for firefighters to protect citizens from disaster. Now, why is a fire a societal interest instead of an individual one? Because fires spread, and your neighbor's bad wiring could take out the whole block, or in the old days, the whole city. And then there's the FDA and the EPA that make sure your food and water don't kill you, and the SEC to make sure that the bankers don't rob you. It's all to protect the citizens. The government is supposed to protect you from foreign invaders and local muggers and poison in your food or in your water or in your air. That's job one. So can government be too large? Of course it can. But can it also be too small? Also, of course. But Republicans claim that government is almost always bloated, useless, and freedom restricting. Look, that's obviously absurd, but there's a reason why they do that. Just yesterday, House Speaker John Boehner called cutting government a moral responsibility.
We have a moral responsibility to address the problems that we face. And that means working together to cut spending and to rein in government.
Now, why do they want to cut government so bad? Sometimes it's because we have budget problems. Everybody gets that. But other times, it's because a campaign contributor doesn't want cops on Wall Street or wants laxer regulation at the EPA so they can pollute a little more to make an extra buck. And sometimes it's just because they're old-fashioned greedy and they want to pay a little less taxes no matter how much money they make. Now, ironically, Republicans flip this on its head and say that it is immoral not to cut government services. But you want to see what's really immoral? In New Jersey, Republican Chris Christie made the so-called tough choice to cut funding for police in the crime-ridden city of Camden. Of course, he did that rather than raise taxes on the rich. Now, you want to see the results? As a result, Camden laid off 46% of their police force. That's 167 cops. They also laid off 60 firefighters at the end of last month. The result? The Cherry Hill Courier-Post reports the number of shootings has doubled over the last year. Doubled. And other violent crimes have also gone up. One local Camden woman said, quote, "People are already getting jumped left and right because criminals know they can get away with it." Now, across the river in Philadelphia, the consequences of budget cuts might be having even more dire consequences. A fire broke out last week at a home in northeastern section of the city. The closest fire station is Engine 61. It's just over a mile away. But Engine 61 was closed on Tuesday. It's what they call a brownout, and it was done to cut costs. So the nearest fire station wasn't able to respond to the call. That meant the call went to Engine 51, which is almost 2 miles away. Now, normally that might be a distance that doesn't make much of a difference, except in cases of fires where it makes a huge difference. The fire trucks didn't get there in time, and 2 little kids, a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, were killed in the fire. Now, did the budget cuts contribute to their deaths? Here's what firefighter Mike Kane of the Philadelphia Firefighters Union said. Quote, "Whether that Engine 61 being browned out, if that company was in service, they would have made a difference. He doesn't know. But nobody can answer that," he said, because we don't have a crystal ball. What we can say is, maybe if they were there, they would have had a shot. Maybe then Kibbs would have had a shot. Cutting spending definitely has a moral component. I'm just not sure it's the kind that John Boehner is talking about. I'm not just blaming this on Republicans. Look, Philadelphia is clearly a Democratic city. But spending cuts do trickle down. When the federal government and then the state government keep taking away money from your budget, at some point you run out of money for vital services. Cutting isn't always the answer. But when you've cut the bone and you're risking the lives of your citizens, maybe, just maybe, it's time to look at the other side of the equation and say we need to raise revenue so that we can at least provide for the core mission of our government. That's protecting our citizens.